Welcome to Heal into Happy. I invite you to take an adventure with me into your very own universe as I guide you to go within, release your fears, and become empowered to create a life you love. I am your host, Lark Allen. My intention is to help you shine a light on everything that is keeping you from being truly free. You can expect this healing journey to be filled with love, laughter, clarity, and fun. Are you ready to take a leap of faith? Let's go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to be interviewing my soul sister, Kristina Demek. She is such a huge part of me having a realization that we can co-create heaven on earth. She came into my life in just the most magical way. We're going to be discussing that together. But before we start our conversation, I wanted to introduce her for all of you to get to know her. She is an FDNP. She is the founder and CEO of Agile Wellness Solutions. She is a functional wellness and life coach who assists individuals in aligning their physical, energetic, mental, intuitive, and spiritual bodies for resiliency and vitality. Kristina draws from her own personal healing journey with Lyme, mold, heavy metals, and viruses, and her education and training to bring a multimodal approach in working with clients. Her mission is to educate and empower individuals to tap into their own inner healing wisdom to obtain optimal wellness. Kristina is certified as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, a Nest Health bioenergetics practitioner, and a Walls Protocol health practitioner. She is like a multifaceted diamond. She brings so much love into my life, and she has been such a powerful pillar for me, supporting me through my Sophia Circle leadership journey. And we have just become besties in this lifetime. We have had a really cool session with my friend Stasia that will be on this season as well later on. And we realized that we have been in so many lifetimes together. And that was healing in itself to know that we found one another. And so this podcast is really about knowing that we are finding our soul family in this lifetime. We are feeling into co-creating heaven on earth together. And we need our tribe to do that. And so God is really bringing all of the parts of us back home. And she is definitely a huge part of my soul family. And I'm so excited for you all to get to know her. We have so much to talk about that we are going to be exploring the 3 questions that is the sacred foundation of this season 2 of my podcast. And we are going to have other podcasts together too, because we have so much to cover. So welcome, 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 Kristina. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you, Lark. Me too. I'm so excited to be here. Yay. So much fun. Thank you for the beautiful introduction too.
Yeah, absolutely. I really feel like in this time, sometimes we can feel isolated, especially on this awakening journey. And family members can shun us, or we can just not feel in alignment. I feel like a lot of people that find my podcast are considered what would be the black sheep, or the person that, was kind of shunned for their intuitiveness and magical sparkliness and, kind of nonconformist, I would say. And so I feel like it's really important for everybody to know that this is a lifetime that we discover how magical we are, and that our soul tribe is going to be finding us to support us in that journey.
Yeah. And totally, not to already dive deep, but when you were doing the intro, I was already thinking about like you coming into my life at a time where I was deconditioning from the typical definition of family and redefining what family means to me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So even more important to find our soul tribe, I think, when we're going through that deconditioning process and redefining what family means to us.
Yes. The way that we found each other, which was online, I feel like maybe some of the conditioning and the things and the traumas and all the things we can relate to maybe social media and things like that. But I feel like God weaves himself or herself into everything. And so that's how we found each other. We found each other in a soul tribe group. And I was just so excited to find new people. And I said, let's do a Zoom. And you decided to get on that Zoom. So that's the first time that we met. And when I looked at you, I just felt like I know her.
Yeah. It's you and I've talked about this a lot over the last, because when did we meet? February of 2020, March of 2020?
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to think, you, myself, and then there's 2 other girls in our group, and just how we have all talked multiple times, how crazy it is that we just met in this group and completely connected and became this little family of soul sisters that were very supportive. We, have different viewpoints and different thoughts, but are very supportive in our growth and have created this safe space. And it's just, it's really wild when you think of how deeply we've connected and how quickly. It's just so obvious. There's just such a deep knowing inside that we've met before.
Yes.
And that was obviously really confirmed for us when we did our reading with Stacia, but it's just, there's just this deep knowingness.
Yeah. And so I feel like one of the big things is to feel into that and for everyone to explore. And when you get that intuitive nudge to go with it, it's really magical when you do. And then we got to meet this summer. We had a little adventure and she got to meet Stella, and we walked on the beach and really created a sacred space in that area and had a really amazing walk and so many fun times. So I'm really happy that we got to actually meet in the physical in this lifetime and hug. And that was really special.
Yeah, it was really magical. And then just the opportunity for me to meet Stella too, as well, just because she's so much a part of, I think, our little sister connect. I feel like she's like my little sister. So
yes. Yeah. And I'm so grateful to find all of you and our little group. Everybody is just really creating space for her to be able to be everything that she came here to be. And so I feel like we'll explore that more when we go into our Nest podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Funny, because you said it was nice to meet in person and hug. And I think of that first day when we met at the restaurant, I was like, oh, it's so nice to meet you finally. And then we were both kind of laughing because we're like, wait, we've known each other. I don't need to say. It was just felt really awkward to be like, it's nice to meet you finally. Because I'm like, oh, no, I know you. It's okay. We're good.
In this lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So anything you want to add, or should we move on to these questions?
I guess I would just say, since we were talking about this redefining family, I think it's really important for people to take this opportunity to ask, what does family mean to them? What do they desire in a family? And oh my gosh, we're conditioned from such a young age of what that looks like. And the more I meet my quote unquote family outside of my earthly family, biological family, I just really get one that my family's way bigger than I ever thought it was. And there can be much deeper connections outside of that biological realm, and that's okay. And I feel like a lot of people in some ways limit themselves to just their biological family because that's the definition of what they think is a family. But there's just so much more. And there's a level of support and engagement that I've received from people even outside of my biological family that is just, I'm just saying I would encourage people to be open to manifesting whatever their soul tribe is for them. I know you and I have been very intentional about calling in and meeting our soul family and expanding that soul family at every level now. I feel like people that are coming into my life that I've called in, and I think people should be open to that, hopefully. So
totally
hopefully
agree.
That resonates.
Absolutely. And my whole podcast is about healing into happiness. And I know, because I did it for a long time, we can get stuck in the trauma of the pain of what happened with our biological family. being, more intuitive or more heart-centered, or, just the abuse and traumas that, we can have in that. And then we get stuck in it. And I feel like that is part of the plan potentially, that, that we could get stuck in all of that. And so part of healing is realizing that we don't have to stay connected to our biological family if we feel like it's not bringing us joy and bliss and we're not being supported. And maybe some people in your family, you are having that, and some people you aren't. And so you don't have to just say, okay, if I let all of these people go, I won't have anything. So I will stay in relationships that trigger trauma again and again and again. No, as you unhook from all of that and start healing from it, you create space to be able to find your soul family that you've been with many, many lifetimes, And so I'm really happy that you brought that up. It's so important. And it's a huge part of our healing to realize that as we raise our vibration, we may be disconnecting without us even doing anything, and knowing that there's so much more out there that's possible.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, you and I, again, we've talked about all these things, but like see people that stay in family dynamics because they feel that they quote unquote should, or that they're obligated to, but it makes them miserable. And I just would say that we can challenge what that looks like in that definition of family and this and that.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
I have Keiko here being bad under my feet. And I'm just saying, Keiko is my dog. And she knows I'm talking about her. She just looked at me. I would say too, family is even like for a couple of years, my family, I had another dog previously. I mean, it's not even just people, human forms. Yes. It's also the animals in our lives. Right. And so.
Yeah. And, we can just even go deeper, like going out and grounding. I have a little patch in my backyard that I connect to, and it's like my grounding path. And it's like, I feel like I take off on it, and I'm also appreciating the earth. And so, our family can be reconnecting with nature and having a healing experience from that. Like you're getting the anti-inflammatory experience, you're connecting and you're seeing the clouds and the sky, and ask for your perception to be turned on more to see the different dynamics of all of that. I mean, getting to know our sacred planet that we were so fortunate to get to come and be here at this very moment to connect with, and I'm calling in the elementals now. I'm ready to see that kind of stuff. And so I feel like we have an elemental family all around us. I go
our
outside.
Spirit guides, our angels.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I go outside and just connect with a dragonfly, and one sits on my finger, and we just look at each other, and it is profound.
Mm-hmm.
It's so multidimensional too, and me calling in my circle of empowerment every day. That's been so healing for me. We have ascended masters that are our family, and angels and guides, and we can look at it galactically too,
For sure. And I mean, this is a good segue into your heaven on earth questions too, because I think like there's so much of that, all of this that we're talking about that's available to people. Yes. And that when they're open and willing to step into that space to receive this family and this love and the support from elementals, from spirit guides, from angels, from galactics, like that, there's so much available to you when you're like ready, willing, and able to like step into that space.
Mm-hmm. And all it takes is curiosity. My whole awakening happened when, like full on just like, it's just wild. Kristina, you've even said like, how did that happen so quickly for you? The question of what's going on? Like, I'm really curious what the heck is going on? And all of a sudden, it's just like a whole nother part of me opened up, and it can be that quick. And I feel like with the galactic rays and all of the support that we have for everything, that it can be that quick of just asking the question, who is my family? I'm ready to see them. I'm ready to call them in, and asking the question, like, is there more? Why is all of this happening? There is a beautiful answer to that question, and it's totally filled with love, and it doesn't have any fear in it whatsoever. Yeah, let's explore these questions.
Okay.
All right. Question is, tell me a time that you experienced heaven on earth.
When we first talked about this question, I was thinking about it and struggling a little, thinking like, oh, what was a specific example? And this morning I was thinking about this again. And I'm like, because I came up with some examples, but I realized it's not an experience, it's a state of being. And for me, experiencing heaven on earth is when I am fully in my authenticity and in like harmony with myself and experiencing just a state of presence and bliss, I guess. So, and that can happen. And I think a lot of times, like, you're talking about your grounding example. Like this weekend, I went to the beach, and one of the places that I like to ground is at the beach, taking a nice walk, but also being in the ocean. So I actually was thinking of you. I walked into the water, dove in and swam out like, my mermaid self, went out a little bit further than where people were. And so it felt very just me in the ocean, and laid on my back and was looking up. And that was a beautiful, blissful state. But, that was one of the examples I was thinking of. And I'm like, but like people might say, but I don't have access to the beach, or I don't have access to ground, or whatever. And so then I also thought of a time in this past spring. I went to a friend's birthday party, and after her birthday dinner, we went out to a club. We were in North Miami. So it was, very busy club. The DJ was amazing. The music was pumping. And I caught myself, I'm in the middle of this club, totally noisy, people talking, people drink, all this stuff. And I was completely in this present state of bliss. Like I felt totally zenned out. I just started laughing because I'm like, here I am sitting in this like really busy club, and I am like in this complete Zen zone. And I just felt so at peace. So I guess my point being is I don't want people to think it's an action or a doing state, but to me, it's more of a being state. And that being state can exist anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we find it in the present moment, fully dropping in and just appreciating the present moment, no matter if there's chaos swirling around us or not. If we're at our 0 point, then that is heaven. I feel that 100%.
Yeah. I mean, even like the example you gave a couple of weeks ago when you had your accident, right? And then, we were just like, of course that can be an upsetting event, but like your point is when, you're at your 0 point, you can just I don't want to say step into, what's the right word? Slide into, relax into the present and just the beingness. And you can experience peace and bliss even in those moments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because we're like, whoa, I'm bumping up against this really big teachable moment. I'm seeing how present I can be to even appreciate this guy that just rear-ended me.
Exactly. Right. Which is the other thing too, because for me, like this idea of heaven on earth isn't a constant state either. It goes to, what I teach in my coaching about resiliency, right? It's like, how do we bounce back? Like, Can we bounce back quickly? Can we settle back into that space quickly and easily and without, so if it doesn't mean we're not going to experience hardships in life, it just is how do we respond to them and come back into our centeredness, our harmony, our integrity, whatever that looks like for us.
Yes. Okay. So question number 2, I'm handing you a magic wand right now. And with this magic wand, you can create heaven on earth. What is heaven on earth for you? And it's kind of explored already in the first part, but let's go a little bit deeper about that.
Yeah, I know I think we're going to dive into it with another topic, but along that same line of being in alignment and resilient, I think really just comes down to people having inner harmony. And to me, I just like, if I could wish anything on people is to experience divine union with their inner divine feminine and their inner divine masculine, like having done the work. So there's such that like insane sacred union within you. And it's so hard because it's just such a feeling. And if people were to experience that, there just wouldn't be like the kind of friction we see in the world, I think, because people wouldn't be looking outside of themselves to blame others or to find like external validation. Like everything would be within. And that, I don't mean that from a selfish standpoint. I think a lot of people get confused when I say this sometimes, but it's more of just this inner knowing. And it just comes from really deep work and a deep connection within and a deep knowingness with spirit, with the divine, with the universe, with God, whatever people call it. So,
yeah. And I feel like you are the master at this. And so I think one of our podcasts needs to be just about all of the ways that you're able to drop into that state and, all of the experiences that you've had and just helping us feel into that more, because I was doing that just now before we started our call. I sent you that video about astrologically right now that celebrating the divine masculine within us that is constantly holding the line and is protecting our gate, like our castle, right now with all of the things that are being thrown at us. I just had the hugest aha about that. And then I was just celebrating goalie for like feeling into that intuitively. And I was just outside, like appreciating my divine feminine as the feminine is rising right now. And then the masculine within me that has been protecting me and me not having that perception open to totally appreciate him. And then I was cradling my inner child. And that's such an important part that's within us too, for being everything that she is, that creative genius within me. And if we are spending time with every aspect of ourselves in that way, then what could trigger us on the outside? We wouldn't be triggered by anything that anybody throws at us because we are in union with all of those parts and we are caring for all of those parts. So that was a huge aha that I just had right before we got on this call. Like, yes, that is everything. Like, journal with your divine masculine, journal with your divine feminine, journal with inner child. Make time for all three of them, even if it's like 5 minutes here and there, like all throughout the week. How powerful.
Super powerful. I mean, giving voice to that trifecta. And I would even say, like, because I know I've been sharing with you this week, triggers are kind of an interesting word because certainly I've been triggered this week and I could say a particular person is triggering me, but they're not doing anything. It's just, they're just being them, which is totally fine. Right. They're being present with themselves and that's it. But within that, like it's mirroring back, maybe that's a better word to me, the little hidden gems that need to be worked on. But this is where, like, what you're saying is we can't just super tap into, okay, well, what part of me is this mirroring back to? Like, is this part of my masculine that was wounded or my feminine that was wounded or my inner child that was wounded or a combination of all three? And where do they need to be given their voice and what needs to happen for healing? And how do we create that space and maybe rebalance within ourselves? So it's just this, like, really tapping in, feeling those inner energies within you and just understanding, like, when they're maybe not walking together, when they're kind of like, when one's kind of trailing behind and needs some support. So that's probably the best way to.
Yeah. Just looking at everything now from somebody saying something to you or, seeing something out in the media or something and knowing that it's like, there's a traumatic feeling coming from that. And instead of letting that go through our system as trauma, immediately consciously saying, wow, thank you for that exploration point. Like, I'm going to dive deeper right now and see who's feeling what and explore that, and just knowing that we can do that more and more and more. And it just helps us, like, thanking that experience for helping us get to know ourselves more and more and more. And I'm really like, epiphany, this is it.
Exactly.
All of us doing this. It's like, that is unity consciousness. That is like thanking every mirror, thanking every experience and
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that is creating heaven on earth, because we're all going to be just like so badass in ourselves.
Imagine, I know, I was just laughing when you were saying this because I say this to people, I actually say, like I wrote this to somebody this week. I'm excited that I called you into my life so that I could see what I needed to work on. They're like, okay. But could you, imagine like walking around and it's like, thank you for stealing from me so that I can understand like where my boundaries are or what I need to work on or what is like loose in my energy frame or, whatever it is like, or helping me understand what I need to like, just imagine that that's how I don't know. I just, yeah, then we're not pointing the finger at anybody. It's like, okay, let me take radical accountability for what's showing up. And the cool thing is then you work really quickly. So when you come from the space of like settling into yourself, when something does show up, because it will, you're like, okay, let me process this. Boom, it's done. Like I'm catching myself now. There was a conversation I had with somebody last week, and apparently there were some residual things that needed to be processed. So within 2 days, I had a major, vision that showed up and showed me some things. And it was wow. But and I messaged my friend and I was like, wow, 2 days ago, we had this conversation. I had this vision this morning. I cleared some stuff out. It's gone. It's done. And just so quickly, like working through things. And it's just not even taking up any of my energetic space, which is amazing.
Wow.
So, that's what I would wish on people. Like, and I'm seeing it with clients and it's like super cool. But yeah, if I could wish anything is that people can get to that point where they can like really be in tune, really go within, really process what comes up for themselves, right? Take that radical accountability, move through something, and then just move on and just keep their energy space clear and deal with the little holes or pockets of awareness that come up and move forward. I just feel like that would create so much energy to work to create heaven on earth. Just imagine, right?
Yeah. And I feel like that really leads into the third question. What simple, easy, concrete step will you take in the next 24 hours to make heaven on earth real? And you are doing the do every day for all of us. And I love that we're putting this out into the organic consciousness right now. Like the cloud is receiving all of this right now. It doesn't even matter when this podcast actually gets released. It's happening right now. And I'm celebrating that so much. But I'm curious what your answer is to that question.
Well, for me, I'll just keep doing my work, right?
Yeah.
So my motto is do your work. So I will keep doing my work. I guess the thing that came up to mind was to challenge others is to create a sense of awareness, right? We can work on, actually, I just started another certification, LOL, but we're doing an exercise on what drains us of our energy and what renews our energy. And I just think that's such a powerful awareness. So what is like a simple thing we can experience throughout the day that like stepping just into that awareness of what drains or what renews our energy and just starting to do that will create a whole new space for people. And that doesn't even require a lot of work. It's just more of like, somebody cuts you off in traffic. Okay. You get angry. So that's an energy drainer, right? So what is your response? Anger, frustration, annoyance, right? And then stepping into like a deep breath and then just having that awareness because it's like, okay, what is that taking away from now in my day? How is that impacting the rest of the day, right? Starting to build the tools so that doesn't happen. But likewise, I think we have to really recognize where we get renewed.
Mm-hmm.
This conversation has come up a lot lately. We don't necessarily rest enough. We don't honor quiet moments. We don't honor the pause. So for me personally, I have been working on the pause a lot more. Let me stop, celebrate what I've experienced today before I move on.
Yeah. And just and I'm feeling the desire for that deeply to add in more time for me to experience that, like getting away from scheduling every moment of our life and just being in the present moment more and more and more is healing in itself. Yeah. On the topic of the driving, I think it's really interesting that you brought that up because driving Stella to school and coming home, it's like I'm in the car 2 hours a day now. And like for a whole year, I was barely in the car. So the crazy drivers on the side roads, I've decided to quit labeling them the crazy drivers on the side roads. And I feel like now I'm coming and they're just doing all these things. And I'm like, I love you. And I see you needing to get somewhere in such a fast way. And I pray for you to be able to find more space for yourself, to not feel like you need to cut everybody off or do this or do that, and it's become a spiritual practice for me now, just to be offering love from my heart throughout my whole drive. And
It's so funny. I actually just said almost the same thing this morning to somebody when I was driving to yoga. Yeah, this guy like pulled up on the back of my car really fast. He cut somebody off to do it. And I was just like, oh, like I bless that you find the space in your day to like not have to be in a rush and to enjoy the moment. And yeah.
We're out there being the change makers every moment of our day. I celebrate where we're at, and I invite everyone to tune into all of that and how freeing and empowering it is. Instead of linking into that rush mindset, we are offering a different energetic level for humanity to rise to.
Ooh, can I say something else I just thought of?
Yes.
Here's another thing we can all do. Can we just smile and say hi to somebody today?
Yes.
It's kind of makes me sad some days when I'm out and about and I'm just like nice to people working that are being, doing out in public, doing their job. And I'm just like, hi, how are you? And smiling. And they're like, when people are like, thank you for acknowledging me. I'm like, who are you dealing with all day long that you're thanking me for saying hi and giving you a smile, right? Yeah. So can we just smile and say hi?
Pendulum went to like an insane place of like fearing one another. And so we're changing that pendulum swing over to just offering so much love and yes, smiling and saying hello. Stella and I were on a walk the other day and we were admiring this beautiful dog. And we hadn't got to the point where we were actually looking at the human. And the woman like waved at us and was like, hi. And we were like, hi. And she was like, have a good day. We're like, we love your dog. And it was just, I loved that she was like, I need and I'm craving that human interaction. And Stella and I were a little bit startled because we just were slowly like making our way to the progression of the human.
But oh my God. I'm laughing because I can totally see you guys doing that.
As we were walking off, I was like, that woman was so excited to have some human contact and like the love of her wave. And I'm like, yes, lady, yes. Like this is what we all need to connect in these beautiful ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Well, this has been such a treat and I'm so excited to explore other topics with you. You guys will get to know Kristina even more as we dive into other topics. So yeah, everybody come back to Heal into Happy for other episodes. And until we meet again, thank you so much for being on. I love you so much. And I'm so excited that we are exploring these topics together.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you too. It's so exciting to be here.
Thank you for joining me today on Heal into Happy. My prayer is that you have gained more insight into your healing journey and that you are one step closer to loving yourself more fully in this now moment. And if you could do me a favor, please leave me a 5-star review over on iTunes. My passion is empowering others on their healing journey, and with your review, you may help others struggling to heal find this message. Be sure to visit me at healintohappy.com for past episodes and more ways to connect with me. Also, please always remember that I am offering you so much love and light as I celebrate the divine sovereign being that I see in you.